Foxborough Rush coming at you. Great to be with you once again. And Annabelle, Hasselbeck, Jade, McCarthy hanging with you for the next hour here to talk about, kickoff of the 2025 NFL campaign for the New England Patriots. And of course, it is the Las Vegas Raiders coming into Foxborough for a 1 o'clock kick on Sunday, AB. And I mean, the storylines in this one, they are just like, it's literally like, just keep making the list, keep going down the list, right? You got two head coaches, obviously, with changes this past year. Mike Vrabel coming here to New England. You have a former New England head coach who went to win a Super Bowl in Seattle, who is now the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. You have Josh McDaniels back as the offensive coordinator here. He used to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So, I mean, there are so many storylines that just, with the coaching changes. Then, of course, you have one of the captains here in New England, Robert Spillane, who played the last couple years as a captain with the Raiders. There is so much here that you can get to. Jacoby Myers, should I just keep going? I mean, he obviously played a long time here in New England. He asked for out, of Vegas, but he is still there with the Raiders. So many storylines when you talk about this matchup to kick off the 2025 campaign. One of the big questions going into the game, of course, is the status of Christian Gonzalez. Is Gonzo going to be out there? Will he be able to play? Mike Vrabel spoke about that just a few moments ago over in Foxborough. Let's listen to the Pats head man.
Well, I wouldn't say that. He's continuing to work, and he'll do, some stuff on the side. But I'm not going to rule anybody out. Stacey just made an announcement about the injury report, so we'll continue to work and treat and make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help him, and he's doing everything he can to get back out on the field. That's the only update I have right now.
We won't see him today, or?
It didn't sound like it.
Will he continue to avoid the IR, or is that a possibility?
Oh, no, I just won't be out there today, Mark. Can't tell you much other than that.
How much does a guy like him need to practice before you feel comfortable putting him in a game?
It won't be today, so I apologize, but, that's where it'll be. I mean, I do like where he's at. From an engagement standpoint, we've been through this with other players, and like where he's at from that standpoint. In the meetings, locked in, following along at practice, which is difficult to think that a player that's not in there can follow along. I've been through that as a player and a coach, and I think he's done a nice job of being able to do that.
I just want to ask one quick on that. Is it important for players to get to 100%? Is every player different?
Well, every player. I mean, I don't use percentages, but again, I'll remind you what we talked about as far as when I try to make decisions about players and returning. One, can they make it worse? One, can they protect themselves? We can all say what we want about this game, but it's violent, and can you protect yourself? And can you do your job up to the standard that we expect and that the player is used to? So those are the things that I've tried to use when making decisions. Maybe I'll add some to that, but that's what I've tried to use in my other experience in this position.
Mike, the initial reports, and I know that didn't come from you, but the initial reports.
Yeah, I mean, please, guys. I mean, we have this is the first Wednesday of the season, and he's not going to be at practice. And just please use your time as efficiently as we can about our team, about the Raiders. And I know Christian is a large part of our team, but he's not going to be out there today. So that's all I can update you with. Do you have anything else since I cut you off?
Yeah. Well, I got to write about the Raiders this week. So
yeah.
I know week one is always tricky, but the fact that they bring in Gino, they have Ashton Genty.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had terrific young skill players. I mean, Brock Bowers plays like a wide receiver. He's a willing blocker. Genty, powerful, fast, continues to move his feet after contact, breaks a lot of tackles. Speed on the outside, savviness with Myers, big physical offensive line. So that'll be a challenge when you talk about that. Gino really does a nice job of taking care of the football, very good completion percentage, so he knows where he wants to go with football.
Mike, following that up a little bit, during the first week, how tough is it to get ready for an opponent with a first-year coach? Do you have to go back to what Pete has done with other teams?
Well, I mean, they have a first-year defensive coach with a coordinator that's been there and done stuff, and then they have a new offensive coordinator who's been in the NFL and has also come from The Ohio State University. And so that's a pretty unique, I think, blend of what we have to try to anticipate. We're not going to be – there's going to be numerous plays in the game that we won't have seen or we won't have run in practice in this preparation. That's how it goes. I mean, that's going to be like that every week. But just trying to get themes and concepts and ideas of what they may want to do defensively with Pat and Pete's style and scheme, and then what they may want to do from offensively from what Chip's done in the past in the NFL, from what he's done in college, and what Geno likes. Certainly, quarterbacks in this league, like things, and we'll get things added. So I'm sure there'll be things that he's liked that they'll run from plays he liked in Seattle.
Ask about that overlap that goes. Pat Graham has seen Josh Buchanan's offense a million times from being here. Patriots and Josh have also attacked Pete's defense in different ways, Super Bowls, playoff games, and Gus Bradley defense with the Chargers. Do you try and game out how they'll react to what you're doing, et cetera, or do you just...
Well, the one thing you don't want to be is too cute, certainly in week one or at any time, and think, well, they know and they think we're going to do this, so that we're going to do this. And I mean, I think we have to, be really sound and use our rules. And if we see something that's new, we have to keep our composure and keep our poise and figure out ways to make it work.
Pete Carroll's named captain this season. What have you seen from him?
Did you say what person?
Marcus Jones.
Yes.
Just what did you see from him as a leader throughout this?
Well, I mean, really by example, just the way that his practice habits, his professionalism, I would say, and then his performance on the field and what he does and how he plays. So, really like being around Marcus. I like the person who he is and the player that he is.
Mike, I know in Tennessee you would identify 3 to 4 things the team had to do before every game in order to win. These kind of keys to boil down. Have you done that already this week? And if so, is that something you'll share with us?
Yes, we have, and no, we won't. You don't want to get too convoluted and just try to make sure that the players are seeing it the same way as we do after all the film and things that we think are going to be important this week. And having been through it, it's not like I want them to memorize and have to look down. I want them to understand how their play and their position, what they can do to help us execute those keys. And so it's not just a blanket and broad statement. It's like, how does my job as a left guard or how does my job as a safety or a nickel help us execute these keys or what we're trying to get done on special teams.
Pete Carroll's known for his cover 3 defense, and then Chip Kelly's kind of known for his up-tempo offense. Is that still the case from your perspective, and are there any ways that those systems have evolved since the last time those guys were in the league?
Oh yeah, I mean Pete's done it for a long time, and they have their adjustment. When you run something extensively or the majority of the time, you have to have answers, right? Because you know that people are going to try to scheme you. And you have to be able to have answers. They've evolved and done a great job and have answers and different ways to play things that they want to do. And then they have their change-ups and their mixers. And then certainly Chip's offense has expanded and grown. I mean, Chip used to call it on an index card. He had 7 plays. And, they just were really good at them and they went really fast. And so I think that's all evolved from the stuff at UCLA, from the stuff at Ohio State, to what he'll do with, those skilled players that we mentioned with the Raiders.
Yesterday you said you wanted your team to win the second half.
Yeah.
How do you coach your players up to reach that expectation?
Well, I think conditioning. I think an emphasis. I think taking a break. And that's a good question. I appreciate that. And, we actually put a break in there at the midway through practice where we have 2 team periods left. And I said, you guys are going to think this is some gimmick, but it's going to be me saying, hey, coaches, get together, tell them, listen, this is what, this is how practice started, whatever's going on. Let's be conscious here to finish strong, win the second half. And I think it's just a good reminder and working on our conditioning.
Mike, regarding the tempo and winning the second half, the Chips' offensive style being fast.
Well, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's as breakneck. Maybe it will be. I mean, we'll see. But I mean, I think it's a little different than probably what it was in Philadelphia. And if it isn't, we'll have to be ready for it. But go ahead.
Either way, it's the first full game these guys are playing this year. So from a football game, how does that affect substitution?
Well, everybody will have to play. I mean, everybody has to play every game and be ready to play. And the ones that are in condition and are playing the way that we expect them to, we'll stay in there. And then when they're not, then they'll have to get a break and put the next guy in there like we've always done.
Mike, you have a plan for Morgan just throughout the spring and summer. Now, likely going to have Max Crosby across from him for a majority of the game. How confident are you in that plan, him being ready to go for, if not the full game, the majority of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident. I think Mo's worked extremely hard and done exactly what we've asked him to do, and has been involved in a lot of their reps. Sorry, go ahead.
Now that you've had a full off season with him, I'm just curious, where has Drake May stood out most off the field to you?
Well, I think his command in the meetings. I think the reach to the locker room, the reach to the players, the stuff off the field, being engaged in that way, and knowing how important that particular position is in all three phases on special teams and the impact that he can make as the quarterback. Thank you.
All right, so that was Mike Vrabel at his press conference not too long ago over at Foxborough as the Patriots get set for practice today. And they, of course, are getting set for the season opener against the Las Vegas Raiders. AB, as I sat here and listened to all of that, a lot of different things that I would react to. And I'll start with this. One of the key storylines, I think, in this game is what is Chip Kelly's offense going to look like now that he is back calling plays in the National Football League? He, of course, has been doing it at the college level for the past few years. I remember a number of years ago going up to the University of New Hampshire when he was having all of that success with the Philadelphia Eagles and talking to coaches there, for a story for Sunday Countdown about where that offense developed and where it came from and when he first brought it to Philly. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch what it's going to look like now that he's gone and, done this stuff at UCLA, at the Ohio State, as Vrabes would say, and what it's going to be like now that he's back there, in the National Football League calling plays for the Las Vegas Raiders with, Geno Smith, who obviously was with Pete Carroll in Seattle. How is he going to incorporate Brock Bowers into it? How are we going to see him use his receivers? Obviously, what is the season going to mean and the start of it going to mean for Ashton Gentry, who many people expect, big things from? He's been tabbed as the potential offensive rookie of the year by a number of people, as they look to their predictions for the season. So that is one of the storylines that I'm really interested to watch this weekend. I got a couple of them for you, but jump in, AB. Give me some of the things that jumped out to you as you were listening to Mike Vrabel there.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's ears perked up when you heard the Ohio State and him shouting it out. He's never going to miss an opportunity to do that, and just all the Ohio State ties that he has on his team. But yeah, I mean, it's really about respecting the opponent. He knows that these coaches, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, they've been around. They know their stuff, right? This is not their first rodeo. And so he's saying to his players, really, there's going to be things in this game that we haven't seen. We can't prepare you for, and that's why you have to stick to your rules, numerous plays. I also loved how he said, we can't get too cute with it as well. I thought that was an interesting way. Hearing the phrase too cute coming out of Vrabel's mouth didn't really add up there, but totally, you definitely can hear what he's saying. Yes, you can prepare all you want, but how are you going to react when uncertain situations come up, and how is this team going to handle that? I also really enjoyed hearing how he is taking the break in practice to stimulate halftime, and to really not only do that for the players, but as the coaches, hey, what are you going to coach them up on? What are the coaching points? What are the reset? And also as a player, you want to make practice as game-like as possible. That's the best thing you can do as a coach, I think, for the players, is to make practice exactly like the game or harder, so that you get to game day and it's easier. So I thought that was great just to see what they're doing this week to implement the real feel of game day.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. And we heard him use the words, be poised, make sure that, you keep your composure, stick to the rules, as you said. These are all things that he's coaching his players up on. He's coaching his coaches up on to get them set, for kickoff at 1 o'clock on Sunday. I thought, obviously, the conditioning, whether it be that Chip Kelly has this high tempo offense, or if it, has slowed since it first came into the league when he was the head coach in Philadelphia. I think that's something that we'll find out. But I do think that conditioning is something that every coach around the league is keeping tabs on when it comes to the opener, because again, there's these moments in the season where things kick it up another notch and kick up another notch. And, one's from camp into preseason games. And then the next one, obviously, is when we get to the regular season games. And again, it's a faster game. Things move a little bit quicker. And I think the conditioning element is one that every guy has been trying to get ready for, but it is very difficult to mimic it and know exactly what you're going to have once you get out there into a regular season game. I thought that, when it comes to defensively, his comments on Gentry and, his tackle breaking ability, that's something he obviously did a ton of during college. He forced 124 missed tackles during his college days. That was the most, according to PFF, since 2014. So that's obviously a lot of them. Brock Bowers, he was like, look, he's basically a wide receiver. He led Vegas, in terms of catches, receptions last season. So that's something to keep tabs on as well. When it comes to Drake May, I thought it was interesting for, Vrabel to just talk about the way he's carried himself, right? And the way he's been able to adjust into being a leader in the locker room and in meeting rooms. And I think we see the reflection of that, of course, with him being named a captain on this Patriots team, AB.
Definitely, and you would hope that, right? And I think anyone could have guessed that Drake May was going to be a captain coming into this season, but you have to earn that, right? Respect is earned, it's not given, and it's really exciting to see that that's where his teammates saw him, but also, for someone like Marcus Jones, leading by example. Maybe it doesn't have to be the vocal leaders every single time. And I think that's something really impressive about this Patriots team and the players specifically, that they can see that and understand it as, hey, that's still a leader on this program. You can just be showing us by your actions and you let your play do the talking. So I think it's really cool to have a captain leadership group here where you can have someone like Drake May, who Vrabel is saying is being super outspoken in the meeting rooms and on the field and really leading in that way, but then also have a player like Jones who might be more quiet in that sense and not your typical outspoken leader, who was surprised that he was actually named captain, which I thought was so genuine and so sweet just to watch that interview that he did at his locker. But that really leading by example is the culture that Vrabel is trying to set here, because you can say whatever you want to say, but it's really about how are you executing and how are you taking your job on the field.
Yeah, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? And true captains, they have to be able to do both. And, there's all different kinds, right? And I think that that's a huge part of it. And sometimes it's the guys that speak very infrequently, but when they do speak, everybody listens and they hang on every word because they want to hear what's being said, right? I mean, I think of Matthew Slater, who obviously, was a enormous captain for this Patriots team for such a long time. Not the most outspoken guy out there, never was. But he's one of those people that when he speaks, everybody listens. And I think that that's a meaningful part of being a captain in any sport. Certainly in the National Football League, the greatest team sport, it qualifies. I do think when it comes to Drake May, one of the other storylines that we're going to be watching in this game game, obviously, is how does this young offensive line play in front of him? I expect the Patriots to heavily lean on the run game, especially with Max Crosby out there. Can they keep him contained? Can they keep Drake May upright? We saw him sacked 34 times in his rookie campaign. The Patriots were 0-6 when he was sacked 3 or more times last season. So they really, what is the Max Crosby effect in this game? And are they able to contain him? And are they able to keep Drake May upright? I think that's something that we're all going to be watching come Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and Vrabel spoke on this yesterday. Someone had asked him a question about, what are your expectations for Will Campbell and even Morgan Moses, because Max Crosby could play on either side, and, they don't know exactly where he's going to be throughout the entirety of the game, so you got to prepare for it all. But he said it's really not on one guy. Like, it's our entire offensive line that needs to be prepared for this, and I think that's great. And as a player, at the same time, when you hear that from your coaches, if you're the guy going up against Max Crosby and you have that matchup, there's a level of freedom and weight off your shoulders to know, like, hey, the other guy's got my back. Like, it's not all on me. Yes, it's my responsibility for this game and for this game plan, but my offensive line has my back. I think the big question will be, how much do the running backs and tight ends have to help out? Like, is this an offensive situation where, hey, we can trust the O-line to protect Drake May, and we can use our Hunter Henry, we can use our Travion in the passing game, right? Like, that's what you would hope to see from the Patriots. But yeah, this is a huge test for the Patriots offensive line. First game of the season, you're still working things out, just like you're working out, hey, how conditioned am I? You're still working out, hey, how good at protecting our quarterback are we? Like, as a unit together against a starting Raiders defense. And so, yeah, I think it'll be a great test. And you mentioned too, just the youth, right? You have 2 rookies on the left side, the blind side. So what a great test for this offensive line to protect Drake May for week 1.
Yeah. And notably, they also, on their depth chart that came out, they moved Jack Westover into the fullback role, right? So we've seen Josh McDaniels over the years, how much he loves to employ that fullback position. It's another big body, especially down in the red zone goal line situations that they can sort of put on that line and move things around a little bit. So I think that's going to be something to watch, in the early going as well this season. And we'll see if it's something that they employ against the Raiders this weekend. It's always a fun game, right? And we heard Vrabel asked about this. You don't know exactly what teams are going to bring, especially when they have had, changes significantly, like the Raiders in this case going into the season, and then even coaches who have been around forever, and like the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, like, oh, well, what's he going to trot out there this year? There's always some new wrinkle or some new nuance that you're watching unfold. And that's part of the fun of this league and the way things get going with week 1 kicking off, of course, tomorrow night between the Dallas Cowboys and the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles, defending champion, I guess I should say, because, once tomorrow comes, they're no longer the reigning champs. We have moved on to a new campaign across the National Football League. All right, we got lots to get to here on Foxborough Rush. We're going to take a quick break. We got some predictions coming your way, lots ahead. So stick around. Back with you right after this.
It was a great atmosphere here for the game tonight. Fans were had tremendous energy the whole walk. And, we played competitively, but then just couldn't sustain it. So obviously we have a lot of work to do. We need to do a better job all the way around, coaching, playing, all 3 phases of the game. It just wasn't up to what it needs to be, and I know we're a lot better than that. So we need to work on those things and show it on Saturday and turn around. But give TCU credit, they came in and did a good job, and they're clearly the better team tonight. They deserve to win, and they did it decisively.
Something tells me when they hung up all the balloons and that banner around Coach Belichick, they didn't anticipate that the final score was going to be 48-14 TCU against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Wow. The numbers associated with this, AB, painful. I mean, honestly, like, a Bill Belichick coach team has never let up that many points during his tenure as a head coach. And last I checked, it's a pretty long tenure for Bill Belichick. This started great. There was a really positive moment as things got going for the Tar Heels, and then it just went squarely downhill from there.
You had to imagine when the Tar Heels scored that first touchdown that Bill Belichick had, like, I'm good, like, back to what I'm used to, we're rolling, and then that just did not happen. But truthfully, I think what stuck out to me almost the most was this post-game reaction, him coming out saying the atmosphere was great, we were competitive, or we're trying to be competitive until we couldn't sustain it. When in any NFL environment are you coming out there and you're saying, great atmosphere from the fans? Like, what a 360, or 180, I should say, for Bill Belichick to have to kind of give that opening statement and acknowledge really the star-studded crowd that came out for this game, the students that were all excited. MJ, I mean, you could name the list. Even on the other side, I think Andy Dalton was there for TCU with his kids before the NFL season got underway. But yeah, I mean, Chapel Hill was rocking until it wasn't. This team got absolutely rocked and outplayed at the line of scrimmage, way more physical, talented as well. And you think about what it takes to be a college coach. These are college kids. Like, they have school. They have things to do outside of just football practice. You don't have them like a professional athlete for the entirety of the day. So maybe coaching those fundamentals and things like tackling, okay? Snapping the ball. Like, there are little things like that I don't know, Bill probably didn't think that he needed to spend as much time on, or thought maybe we have the time to coach these guys up. But really, the college athlete life is drastically different than having a pro athlete.
Yeah, and I think those were a lot of the questions that people asked, right? When the whole Bill Belichick link to North Carolina story came out, and was this going to happen, and what would that really mean, and is he really going back to college, and is his way of coaching going to work with college athletes? What about with recruiting? I mean, I remember having conversations with people who were like, can you imagine Bill cozying on up at the couch with the parents and the student being like, this is why you should come to North Carolina? It was the whole thing, right? So look, I mean, this does not help him, certainly. And I understand it's a very revamped roster than what he walked in with. He made a ton of changes. But there are other college coaches that have done that and haven't gotten dismantled in the opener the way that the Tar Heels just did. They don't obviously have this, extremely difficult strength of schedule moving forward. The challenge, though, is that because they don't have it, even if they can finish, with a respectable record and, make it into a bowl, it's still going to be hard to completely eradicate the dismantling that started their season against a team the caliber of a TCU.
And Bill Belichick is a great coach, or he wouldn't have the Super Bowl rings that he has. So you know that he has the game plan. He knows what it takes to win. But a huge part of sports, and specifically when you have younger athletes, is earning the respect of your players, right? You have to earn the respect of your players. And so the big question for me is, are these UNC football players going to buy into what Bill has for them, right? Are they going to listen to him? Are they going to take the coaching and implement it? And can they, right? There's a certain level of talent that you need to have as well to do that, which, hopefully they have on that team. But I really do think it's going to come down to, hey, do I respect my coach, number one, as the person that he is to start? And then I'm going to listen to what he has in the X's and O's of the game, because he has it. Bill Belichick is the coach that's able to get it done on the field. But I think that's a huge level of when you talk about recruiting and taking care of your players and seeing them in all facets of life. I think that's super important. I think on a positive note for me, for UNC, the bright spot was Max Johnson coming into the third quarter at quarterback.
Yeah.
He was the player who had that gruesome leg injury, almost had his leg amputated last year, throws a touchdown to his brother, which was just so incredible. So definitely a bright spot for UNC, and wishing him the best and success in his career. And you can only imagine what that touchdown meant to him and his family. But yeah, wild first showing for Bill Belichick. I know there were a lot of funny tweets and things out there from the UNC students and tailgates and all those things. And, when you have a school like UNC, I think the funny thing is that TCU came into this game saying that they felt disrespected. They weren't being talked enough. That's kind of what fueled them and motivated them. Well, the ironic thing is that even though they played outstanding and absolutely embarrassed UNC, everybody's still talking about UNC.
About UNC.
Sorry, sorry, TCU.
No, I mean, they're still talking about UNC. That's what happens when you hire Bill Belichick as your coach. Look, that's just the reality of that. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with quarterback, though, because like you said, Max Johnson came in and played really well to finish the game. They only have a couple days to get ready for Charlotte, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who they decide to go with here, because he was obviously the backup, but after that opening drive, he was the better quarterback on the field for North Carolina. So TBD. We will find out what the rest of it
on
is
the Hulu, maybe
like.
On the Hulu documentary too. I think that's coming out. I saw a really funny tweet that I think it was TCU football actually responded to the Hulu announcement that Bill did in his team meeting, and they said when's the documentary coming out or something to that effect. I'm like, man, that social team at TCU, they're working hard, man. They're on it.
If you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat them, join them. So. All right, much more here on Foxborough Rush. On the other side, we got some predictions coming. We told you we were going to talk about the NFC and make our predictions on that side of the conference, so we'll do that when we come back. All right, so we ran through the AFC on Monday. Time to take it to the NFC with our predictions here. Let's just go division by division, AB. NFC East in this one. Look, the last repeat winner of the NFC East, you got to go back a ways. It was the Philadelphia Eagles, but it was 2001 to 2004. Since then, it has just been a different team on top every single season. The Eagles, of course, won it last year en route to a Super Bowl title. I'm going to say that they are going to reign supreme in the NFC East, and they're going to make it back-to-back division titles for Philly this season. What say you?
That's a wild. I didn't know that stat about the repeat winners, but I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think it's going to be the Eagles. Not too much has changed for them. I think Saquon's going to be even better. The Patriots, hey, we got Milton Williams, so we'll take that from you guys. But I think because they still have their offensive weapons coming off the Super Bowl high, I'm going to go with the Eagles over this. The Commanders, they're going to be knocking out the door, but I think they're going to do this. I think they're going to be the first to repeat in a little bit.
Yeah. All right. NFC North. We all know Micah Parsons is no longer in the NFC East. He is in the North now with the Green Bay Packers. But I'm still going to stick with the Detroit Lions being the division winners in the NFC North. I think this is one of the toughest divisions in football. I think Minnesota is going to still be a part of this. I know J.J. McCarthy is a quarterback, but we all know what Kevin O'Connell has done with quarterbacks in the past. I don't know that they're going to go out there and win as many games as they did last year. It's not easy to go win 13 games in this league. You sit there, you look at the schedules, and you're like it's hard to come up with 13 wins for any team in this league. But I think when it's all said and done, Green Bay is going to be great, but I don't think that the Micah Parsons move enough is going to move them into being the winner of the NFC North.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and this is a division that made it so hard for teams to make the playoffs because you're winning 13 games. Come on, guys, make it easier for the rest of us, okay? But yeah, this is a division I want to say Minnesota, but we just haven't seen J.J. McCarthy, so I don't know if I can put my money there. And Aiden Hutchinson's back. You saw the fire that guy had trying to come back for last year's season, okay, on top of a pretty gruesome injury as well. So I think I got to go with the Lions for this one. Dan Campbell, hard-nosed football. I think they're going to run away with it.
Yeah, so much talk about them losing both their coordinators. We've seen that happen before, and it's not always easy, but I do think that I just think that they found a way with what they have in there. I know some of it was not just promoting within, but pulling from outside, but it was within going back a couple years. So it's all still interconnected there in Detroit, and I expect to see the Lions find a way to take the North. The NFC South, I just feel like I have a lot of questions about New Orleans. They obviously had a quarterback battle going up until last week. Atlanta, they have their players, I know, but I just don't know if they have the firepower to take the division. Carolina, I think Bryce Young is going to pick up where he left off last season. I think we're going to see him to continue to grow as a quarterback. But when it's all said and done, I'm still going to take Tampa Bay to win the South.
Yeah, I think the Bucks. And I promise, Jade and I did not coordinate on our picks. Okay, like we did not talk before the show. I do admire Jade a lot, but I'm not copycatting her specifically because of that. Okay, but no, I mean, I think the Bucks feel really good. I mean, look at this division: the Falcons, Panthers, and Saints. Like, they're feeling really good about themselves. Baker Mayfield has been incredible for this team on and off the field. And the Saints don't really have a quarterback. Like, they are still figuring it out. They got rid of Clint Kubiak, which was a huge part of their success last year. Falcons, their quarterback situation is interesting with Kirk Cousins and that whole situation, how that went down with Penix. But, yeah, I don't see fireworks coming out of Carolina just yet. So definitely going to go with the Bucks and the easy one for this.
All right, let's round it out with the NFC West. I'm not going to lie, this one was tricky for me. Like, the North is hard because there's so many talented teams. We all know that I think they could all find a way pretty much to get there. And I do think Chicago is going to be a harder out this year than they were a season ago when it comes to the North. But the West, I'm still a little like, I have like crossed off teams here, mainly because I think the Arizona Cardinals could be the sleeper this year. I just think that there's a lot of positive growth that has happened there. I think Kyler Murray is going to have a better season this year. I think he's going to continue, not that he hasn't had a good season, but I think he's going to continue to grow as a quarterback. I think, he and Marvin Harrison Jr. are going to continue to take strides in a positive direction. Obviously, we saw what McBride adds to that offense as the tight end there. And then defensively, which, this was obviously Jonathan Gannon's strong suit when he was hired, as the former DC of the Philadelphia Eagles, hired out there in Arizona. And look, I mean, he brought Calais Campbell back, who was such a huge part of this Cardinals organization for a long time. They bring Josh Sweat in to reunite him with, his former DC in Philly. We all know and have seen what he's able to do out there on the field. So part of me is like, do the Arizona Cardinals find a way to win this division? And I kept going back and forth on my notes. I was like, Arizona, Rams, Arizona, Rams, Arizona, Rams. So maybe you can square this one up for me, AB.
No, I will say this. I think nationally, a lot of people have this hope for the Cardinals. Like every year, it's like, can Kyler Murray get it done? Can this offense get it done with, just looking at how people probably view them in the fantasy world, right? Like, it's there. You think it's there, but I think the Seattle Seahawks
finally finish strong.
Right, can they? But I do think that the Seattle Seahawks are a team that historically does really well against the Cardinals. I don't think they're as worried about the Rams, even though they do have, all that hype because of Matt Stafford's back potential injury. And then you have Jimmy G, right? So, I do think for the Seattle Seahawks, they look at this division and they think it's very winnable. This is a team that won 10 games last year in Mike McDonald's first year. Yes, they lost DK. They lost Lockett. Those are two offensive weapons who have been staples for them. They lost Geno, right, who will now be with the Raiders. But this is a really strong defense, one of the top defenses in the league. And they picked up Torrey Horton, who was this steal of the draft, 5th rounder. Nobody knows about him. He's going to be great for this wide receiver room. And Cooper Kupp, JSN's wide receiver, is going to step up. So I think for the Seattle Seahawks team, they may be all the way out there in the Pacific Northwest, but I think that this could be the team to win this division.
I just want to know which Sam Darnold they're going to get. And I think the way
that
goes is the way Seattle goes. So that was my catch point on the Seattle Seahawks. So I don't know. I still think the Rams, have the chance to contend, and no matter how they get into the playoffs, and I think they'll get into the playoffs, they're always a team that nobody wants to face. So we'll see what, Stafford's health looks like. He has said he's good to go and he's going to be ready to get out there. TBD. All right, so here we go. In the NFC Championship, you have who over who?
I got to go with the Eagles, but the Lions and the Commanders are right there. I think they're going to be the team to give them the run for their money. I know we haven't really talked about other teams, but I think Saquon is going to be the guy. You don't have the success that he's had last year with a brand new team if you're not special, and I think this next season is going to be even better.
Yeah, I take the Eagles in the NFC Championship as well. I swear we did not compare notes before going into the show. I promise we didn't.
Jade, I just think you're just so
Eagles,
spot on, so smart. Everything you say is perfect.
Yeah, no perfection here. Practice makes progress, not perfection. But look, I mean, I look at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the way they're built, I think the way Howie Roseman continues to develop, draft players, and then Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff continue to develop players. I think the way Howie Roseman will look to continue to better this team throughout the course of the season. They have so much depth there. I agree with you. I think Saquon's going to follow up the season that he had with another stellar season. I think they play a physical brand of football. I think they will go and run it down Dallas's throat in the opener tomorrow night. And I just think that we're looking at what could be the beginning of the next dynasty when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll take them to represent the NFC. And then we both put Buffalo in the Super Bowl. So Bills, Eagles, who takes the title?
Those are going to be two fan bases that are absolutely going to go after each other. Okay, I don't even want to know what that Super Bowl weekend would look like, but we're going to need a lot of law enforcement there. But I got to go with the Bills Mafia, Josh Allen. It's his time. You got the ring in the offseason for your bride. You got to get one for yourself here in this Super Bowl. So I think I'm going to go with the Bills for this one.
Yeah, I would love to see the Bills go and take it. I think the Eagles are going to do it again, though. For whatever reason, I think they're going to find a way to make it back-to-back championships for the city of Philadelphia. So a lot of agreement between us. Our Super Bowl champ is different, though. See, now you know we didn't completely compare notes the whole way through. All right, we got some more awards to hand out as we make some predictions for the Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, so on and so forth. We'll do that on the other side right here on Foxborough Rush. Oh, prediction time of the year. It's always a fun one when you sit there and put pen to paper and try to figure out exactly how things might shake out in the 2025 NFL season. Let's run through some awards handed out, of course, after it's all said and done. Let's start with Comeback Player of the Year, AB. This one for me, I went back and forth on a couple different guys. I think because of the way he's played the game, if he is able to stay healthy throughout the course of the season and put up numbers, anything like what he has done in the past, I like Christian McCaffrey for Comeback Player of the Year.
I love Christian McCaffrey. I had a Run CMC shirt back in the day, all right? Like, huge Stanford football fan. I was all about it. But I think for me, from what I saw from Aiden Hutchinson and just his eagerness to get back on the field, like, that is a guy I just want to root for as comeback player.
Yeah.
He spoke to media earlier this week and everyone's anticipating his comeback. He's like, guys, I've been back. Like, this game, this season opener is for you guys. Like, I'm ready to roll. And so I think what that tells me is a confidence. And even Dan Campbell said earlier this week, I believe, like, this is the best he's been. He's even improved. And coming off an injury, like, you're just trying to get back to your normal self. But this is a guy who his head coach is saying that he's improved. I'd be a little nervous about him.
Stay tuned, because there's a reason I agree with all of what you just said. Let's go to the Rookie of the Years. Let's start on the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm just going to go with the hometown kid here. From the Ohio State University. Yes, Mike Vrabel, I will say it just like that. Travion Henderson, I think, has a chance to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I'm just going to give him the honors as I sit here on September 3rd and hand them out. I love his explosiveness. I think he has the ability to do great things with the football when he has it in his hands. I think that Josh McDaniels is going to be creative in the way he uses him, and I think he has a chance to make a significant impact on this Patriots team during his rookie campaign.
I love that. And I'm going to go with another guy from, let me see if I do this right, the Ohio State. Emeka Egbuka in Tampa. I've always wanted to do that. I've always see it, on the intros, but I had to try it out here for you guys on Foxborough Rush. But I'm going to go with Emeka in Tampa. He's on a really good team, an incredible passing offense. You got Baker Mayfield, who has been a stud for this offense, playing next to Mike Evans. You saw what he did at Ohio State for the same reason. I think when you get to play on a championship caliber team like that, it sets you up very well for the NFL. And so they love him down there. People are excited. he's going to be one of their top wide receivers. So I got to go with Mecca for this one.
All right, I like that pick as well. Ohio State would be very happy with both of our picks there. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I will go to the team that just can't find a way to beat Ohio State, and that would be the product out of Penn State, Abdul Carter with the Giants. I think that he is a force to contend with. We certainly saw it, with Penn State in, the playoffs last season when he was on the field. They were a completely different team than when he wasn't on the field. And I think he will continue to have that kind of impact for the New York Giants, a team that quite honestly is going to be happy to have that kind of impact player.
Yeah, the Giants need him too. So I'm going to go with him as well for this Defensive Rookie of the Year. They're hoping that he's going to be a game changer for them. They hope that they just got the next Micah Parsons. The Giants are really putting a lot into this player, and he's got an edge to him on and off the field. And I think when you're playing a position like that, you kind of need some of that. So yeah, I'm going to go with Abdul Carter for this one.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Offensive Player of the Year. And we talked a little bit about him before. I think we're both in agreement that Saquon's going to have another big year despite the huge year that he had last season. Probably would have been over 2,000 yards had the Eagles, not sat and talked and decided for him to sit. And he was in agreement on that because he is like the team player. That's just who he is as a person. I have a ton of respect for him and the way that he plays the game and the way that he approaches it. I think the stat is like no one's ever gotten over 1,500 yards after flirting with that 2K season. I think he can do it. And I think he's going to continue to be a high octane, high impact player for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I think when you think about last season, how he made that unselfish move to rest and not go for the record, it made me wonder, okay, if you get there again, are you going to go for it? That's exactly what went through my head.
I want to see it.
Right. I'm like, well, I know you did it the first time, super unselfish, everyone loved that, but would you do it again? Are you going to try? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they'd let him go for it, or are you going to think they're going to protect him?
I think if they think another ring is in the picture, then they might just reach the same decision that they did last season. But even Nick Sirianni said after the fact, he was like, well, if we didn't end up with the Super Bowl ring, I'm not quite sure how we would feel about leaving that one on the table. It's tough. That is not an envious position to be in, and at the same time, yet it is. All right, Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. For all the reasons that you laid out, AB, I just think that he is going to be a force this season on the field.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson is a player I'm super excited about. And I know Micah Parsons has some back injuries, things, but I think they'll get that fixed up. Whatever the doctors got him, know it's going to work. And there's fuel to his fire. I mean, if there ever was a season to have even more of a breakout year than he's had in the past, this is it, with a Jeff Hafley Packers defense that is going to be incredible. This guy's going to be on fire. So I think I got to go with Micah Parsons for this one.
All right, MVP. I'm going to go Josh Allen. I mean, do I really have to say more? I'm just going to go with Josh Allen.
You could have done this. You could have done a little superhero thing there, but I know I think you're good because we're here and we're covering the Patriots, so you do not need to do that. But I gotta go with his rival Lamar Jackson. It's either one of those two guys.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, for both of those guys, is they don't care about the MVP. They don't want it. They're like, give me the Super Bowl. But I think
give me the real ring.
Give me the real ring. Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson has every opportunity to do that. He's on an incredible team. He's proven himself as a passer. Everyone knows how great he is on the ground. But yeah, I think his priority is going to be that Super Bowl, and he's going to, by default, become the MVP just because.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Coach of the Year. I think we have just enough time to cue this up. Mike Vrabel talking on the Greg Hill Show, partially about why he did not want to go after Micah Parsons.
Mike, one of the things as a Pats fan, I woke up, can't remember when it was, and I said, damn, Micah Parsons is in Green Bay. Were you guys in on him?
We continue to have conversations about all players that are available. Mike, I think you love saying Micah Parsons.
Yeah, so, I would have loved to have seen that. The first jersey I would have got out.
No
When he
Vrabel
says-
jersey.
I
Do
do
you
have
have
a
any
Vrabel
jerseys?
jersey.
Do you have
Yes.
jerseys?
I do have a Vrabel jersey.
When he
And
says
again,
he's
he's a
gonna sign
dynamic
it.
player, great player. But it just, we weren't. That wasn't something that, we really invested a lot of time or resources in. I think when you just try to look at what we feel like is best for us right now, that wasn't entertaining that specific, transaction.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, it's
generational. My guy Shine would say generational player that you get at a bargain,
yeah,
a bargain price.
Yeah, I don't, maybe bargain price. It just, I think we just have to be very smart on building this thing, and I hope that everybody else sees it the same way outside of here. And we want to bring in players that feel like give us the best chance, but also, we have to build some depth here to this roster, and you do that from the draft. And just it hasn't been, we'll call it what it is. It hasn't been real great. The depth of the roster has not been through our draft the last handful of years, and that has to change. We all know that. So we'll focus on that when we get there in April. Right now, it's putting guys in roles that have some versatility and building the game day roster and all these different things, but. I think the best teams in the league draft well. They develop their players, they re-sign them, and then they carefully choose the players that they want to add in free agency.
Need to add depth. No gray area. It's the way in which he's building this foundation and the turnaround that he's going to be able to affect is why Mike Vrabel is my coach of the year, AB.
Vrabel, you get Coach of the Year because you're honest and you care about the future of this program. Build it up. I think right there you give it to him because he just straight up said, we're concerned about other things. We are investing time and energy into other things. He knows the history. Vrabel, you get it from both of us today.
There you go. Kudos. One last thing. My Super Bowl halftime performer, T Swift. Jot it down. I'm going with
Jade,
it. I'm going
I want to
with
discuss
it.
next week. I want to discuss this because I got some takes on this one for sure.
See ya. Until next time. Thanks for hanging.